There was a truckload of Black Ops 7 info dumped today. I'm here to scour through all of the information to see what it means for the melee playstyle going forward into this next iteration of Call of Duty. They dropped a gameplay reveal trailer today, a developer direct, and they invited a lot of content creators to play the game and release content today on what they played. So let's look through it all and figure out what we can. Black Ops games have always pushed the envelope when it comes to melee weapons. There's always interesting ones. There's always a good variety. There's always a lot of fun stuff to use. I mean, we got skateboard, nunchucks, boxing gloves, and BO6. Let's see what we can find in the actual trailers and all the gameplay video. Will the ballistic knife be coming back? I hope so. The first glimpse of any sort of melee weapon we get in the trailer are these giant machetes embedded in one of the campaign missions. So obviously we're not getting a gigantic machete to play with. It's a part of some sort of mind-bending campaign story, but I would not be surprised if a machete melee weapon made its way into the game. Briefly, we see a karambit on an operator's belt buckle here. It doesn't mean that it's coming to the game, just wanted to point it out. Briefly, we get a shot of another little blade, but we have to talk about the possibility of a ballistic knife. Here in the list of things you get for the Vault Edition pre-order is the Flatline Mark II melee weapon. Let's zoom in on this thing. Could this be a ballistic knife? Some people in the knifing community seem to think that this is a ballistic knife. I'm not so convinced, but I guess we'll see. It looks interesting either way. Now we got to dive into the developer direct they released on YouTube to really get into the nitty-gritty of melee stuff we can pick out from these videos. The very first melee reference I could find is this operator slicing off two zombie heads with a katana. He's an OG Zombies character. I've always been a big fan of katanas in Call of Duty games. I hope we get a katana weapon in Black Ops 7. I think we might have also gotten our first look at the riot shield. These are obviously AI players from the campaign, but they're holding what looks like a futuristic kind of riot shield. I know a lot of the melee community have been wanting the riot shield back, so we might get it in Black Ops 7. If you look closely in the background here, this AI, he's holding his handgun and a tack knife, and then he starts sprinting towards you. Is this something we're going to be able to do? Tack knife in BO7 would be cool. Next up, we get a real quick look here. It looks more like an execution, but it's like a chain blade mixed with a shock charge. So she throws it in the guy, he's shocked. Definitely looks like an execution animation, but you can also see a combat axe on the hip of the character that she's hitting. Now, Black Ops games always have a combat axe as the throwable. We don't see any combat axe or throwing knife being thrown anywhere else in the trailer or the videos, but I'm assuming it's still going to be a combat axe. Movement always plays a huge part of the melee playstyle, and from what we've seen and what they've said, Omni movement's still around, but it's the next evolution of Omni movement where we can bounce off of walls.
After using it, it functions very different than what we had in jetpack CODs. You would just jump into the wall and it would have a magnetic effect and you would run across the wall. If you try that in BO7, you're just gonna jump across the wall and you'll just fall down. If you just jump, you'll just slide down, which I guess if you're falling on a high wall, I guess you could do this, and then at whatever point you decide to jump, you'll do your bounce off that wall.
And potentially with additions with things like a grappling hook and possibly some sort of boosted jump. We're not sure if those things are coming to multiplayer, but they might, and I hope they do. Any additions to movement is always good for a melee player. They also have a 20v20 multiplayer mode coming for larger maps, and in that mode, we're going to be able to wingsuit across the map.
One of our new modes at launch is Skirmish, a large-scale experience where teams battle it out to complete objectives. It is a big 20 versus 20 size map, but adding wingsuit into multiplayer changes the dynamics of it compared to just like a core 6v6 mode. This allows you to have not only a bigger play space, but also more objectives going on. A squad captures an objective, they could basically wingsuit across the map to capture the next objective.
Now, wingsuiting in Blackout was a lot of fun. Wingsuiting in Battlefield 2042 was a lot of fun. I'm hoping it's kind of like a mix of those two where we can fly around the map super fast, but then maybe jump out of it and throw an axe, swing a melee weapon, something cool. But just the fact that we'll be able to outplay opponents with a wingsuit is going to make for some very, very interesting engagements. One thing I've really missed in Black Ops 6 is the larger multiplayer maps. Something like a ground war. I used to love jumping into those bigger maps and just having fun. So definitely looking forward to the skirmish mode. Now at the end of the campaign story mode is a mode they're calling Endgame. The Endgame open world match looks very, very interesting. I almost thought it was something like a DMZ, but it seems like it's not going to be PvP at all. It's just going to be PvE.
There can be up to 32 other players on the map, essentially trying to pursue different objectives in a PvE environment.
So I don't know if it's something that I'll really be putting that much time into. We'll see. But it's set on the Avalon map, which makes me think Avalon could still be coming as a Warzone map. It's a big open space. It looks perfect for a battle royale. Let's hope they make it happen. So with all the new information we got on Black Ops 7 today, I'm actually really excited for melee gameplay in the new COD. Grappling hooks, wingsuits. I don't know if you guys saw the active camo. Looks like a really cool field upgrade. There's going to be some really interesting combos and ways to play the game for a melee player. And that's just based off the things that we saw today. There's probably so many things that we don't know about yet that'll add to that. So I'm excited. Now, I know a lot of the player base has been asking for more realistic kind of gameplay and things in the game, kind of like what Battlefield 6 is bringing to the table this year. But with this futuristic game, futuristic storyline, I think it's kind of the year that they lean more into that. So I don't think we're going to be seeing any of the realistic stuff this year. And they also announced that weapons and operators are going to carry forward into the game. So Beavis and Butthead, they're coming to Black Ops 7. Not my favorite thing ever, but let's just lean into it and have fun. It's hard not to be excited for a new Call of Duty game coming out. I'm just a big fan of Call of Duty in general, obviously. And I never played any of the futuristic CODs from before, so I'm excited to see what they do with that kind of thing. And just as a video game fan in general, it's going to be a good year. We got Battlefield 6. GTA 6 is just around the corner. I'm a big fan of Skate, and that game's dropping soon. Just a good time to be a fan of video games. They got the classic prestige coming back again. You can actually prestige your weapons this time, so grinding's gonna be crazy this year. I can't wait to jump in and have some fun.